Hello everybody. In this video, I'm going to talk about the way in which I carry out the analysis of the results of the following point. Mixed language teaching, language strategy newsletter, and peers' perspective on strategy implementation. First of all, the mixed language teaching. Based on the time that I have evaluated the skills of my pupils in the second language, the result that I obtained was that several of my students had a notion of the second language. Then I focused more than anyone on the results or advance that they could show in the next evaluation activity. As expected, the results were significant. They had already improved their reading, speaking, listening, and reading. Then the measures that I had to adjust in my planning according to the needs of the groups was that I had to make a global adjustment because there were students who didn't have the same interest in the second language as the first one that I mentioned, that they already had a notion. So I added certain activities that might interest them. Maybe not in learning in the language, but in participate and unconsciously learn or develop the skills in English. At the moment, it is pretty difficult to manage the results of students learning in a virtual way because they are not exposed to the academic environment, and from the comfort of their home there's a lot of distraction that distract them from the learning. Okay, the group hardly participates and the tasks they carry out are done with the support of the internet. They are attending the classes out of commitment and not to learn. The learning results, as I said before, decrease with the virtual classes. The exams clearly show that the students are not making an effort to learn. For those things, I develop some strategies to attend my student needs. First, provide lecture outlines. Second, provide study guide or worksheets. Three, teach the mental activities involved in listening. Four, state the objective providing a lesson for listening. Five, pre-teach difficult vocabulary and concepts. Well, the second point is language learning strategies newsletter. Frequently used techniques for assessing students' second language strategies include formal or informal interviews, group discussions, language learning diaries, dialogue journals between students and teachers, open-end surveys, structured 3 or 5 pound surveys of strategy frequency, and think aloud procedures that require students to describe their strategies aloud while using them. Now, according to non-second language research, successful learners often use metacognitive strategies such as organizing, evaluating, and planning their learning. Use of these behaviors along with cognitive strategies such as analyzing, reasoning, transferring information, taking notes, and summarizing might be considered part of any definition of truly effective learning because there are There are systems related to behavior of successful language learner. That system are based on psychological function such as cognitive, metacognitive, and affective. Linguistically based strategy system dealing with interfacing language monitoring or formal rule practicing and functional practicing. Systems are based on particular language skills such as oral production, vocabulary learning, reading comprehension, or writing. Systems are based on different types or styles of learners. It is relatively easy to find out about my student learning strategies. The simple methods to use regularly are strategy diaries, structured surveys, and informal classroom discussion about strategies that students use. Strategy training can help students make effective use of multiple strategies. Metacognitive strategies help students keep themselves on track. Cognitive memory and compensation strategy provide the necessary intellectual tools. And affective and social strategy offer continued emotional and interpersonal support. Teacher action research on language learning strategies or on strategy training should cover this wide array of strategies and should not be limited to use one or two type of techniques. And finally, the third point, peers perspective on strategy implementation. Some of the strategies that I use the most are fostering trust and closeness with the students, using a certain language so that it is accessible to them. Another strategy is to give a concrete explanation and with a super simple example as many times as necessary for the students to understand the topic being discussed. Above all, it is important to implement the strategy of the didactic skills to let the students know his goals, uh, what he has to achieve, and how he will do it. Give him motivation, a reason to enter the virtual section every day now in the pandemic. It is also important to be in contact with them for as long as they require. To be constant, this is so that they don't miss the subject and they are constant learning, that they are always remembering. Well, okay, so that's all for this video, and I hope it could be informative, useful for you, and as always, see you in another video. So goodbye.